It's been 1 year since I made my first countdown video, and to celebrate my anniversary, I'm going to be remaking that very video, Top 15 Mario Bosses. Okay, it's been more like a year and 3 months, but who cares? As you may have guessed, my first ever video wasn't exactly flawless, and I most certainly changed my mind about the ordering of it. But what do you expect? I had no freaking clue how to edit footage. I think I did okay for a first effort, or maybe not, but that's beside the point. There aren't really any rules for this other than the obvious. Nothing from fan-made games, no mini-bosses, and nothing from that terrible CDI game. Does that even have bosses? Don't know, don't care, just want to make fun of it. Also, no Paper Mario series bosses. Why? Well, I'll be covering those another day. Wink wink. On a certain marathon I do annually during the summer. Wink wink. One that specifically covers the Paper Mario series. Wink wink. Whatever, just start the freaking video. Super Mario 64 is famous for many, many reasons, being one of the most revolutionary games of all time and all. No big deal. The bosses are not one of those reasons. Most of them aren't really bad, just kind of lame. The Ultimate Koopa was okay, I guess, and for some reason I kind of liked the Big Boo, but none of them really stood out that well. None of them other than Eyerok. To be honest, I'm not so sure why I'm a fan of this one. It combines the two ultimate Nintendo boss cliches, hitting an enemy's hands and hitting its eyes. They are literally two floating hands with eyes you have to punch. It's not challenging, it's not epic, it's not even climactic. Maybe I like how you need to take out each hand individually. Or maybe I just love shifting sandland. Or maybe I'm just crazy. That's probably it. Overall though, even if it technically isn't that great, Eyerok still stands to me as a standout boss in a game full of subpar bosses. Oh, Mario and Luigi, how I neglect thee. Not the characters like the series. Although I have always viewed you as inferior to the fantastic Paper Mario series, you are no doubt home to some of the best bosses in any Mario game. One of these examples is Mario and Luigi Partners in Time's Sunnycide. This fight is actually quite creative, as the beast's hard shell limits the amount of damage inflicted upon it. In order to reveal its weak point, you'll need to break open its eggs and free the Yoshis inside. Once 5 Yoshis are free, they will work together to push Chomp Rock onto Sunnyside's head, knocking him down and exposing his weak point. You can still attack while knocked down, but you'll be able to deliver much more damage. This is another one of those fights that I just find really cool for some reason. It's pretty easy, so don't expect a huge challenge, but it still manages to be fun. There's only one thing I'd like to mention before we move on to number 13. Sunnycide is remarkable for one last reason. He appears in the only stomach level that isn't horrible. I love New Super Mario Bros. The first two games were incredible, the third was just sort of average, and to be honest, the Wii U version doesn't do very much for me. Like Super Mario 64, they're famous for a lot of reasons, and the bosses aren't one of them. Let's see what we have in this category. Bowser Jr., the Koopalings, more Koopalings, the Koopalings again. There's no variety here. Well, that's not entirely true. New Super Mario Bros. For the DS had some creative bosses, like the Giant Cheep Cheep, Giant Goomba, Giant Pokey, move faster, Pokey. But hey, at least we had the Monty Tank. Now I'm not talking about the Monty Tank boss from Sunshine or Galaxy. Those were way too easy. The Monty Tank from New Super Mario Bros. Is much better. The Monty Tank will continually fire bullet bills at you until it exposes its head. Then you can jump on him or throw a blob bomb at him. Each time he is hit, his tank will grow larger, making it harder to dodge the bullets. It's not as complex of a battle as Sunnycide, but to be honest, it's just more fun for me. You can also just kill him with a Mega Mushroom. Great game design, guys. Super Mario Sunshine. This game is special. It's awesome, but it's also special. The bosses in this game are either really, really good, or just really, really special. The Mecha Bowser fight in Peanut Park is an example of a boss being both. In this scenario, you're riding on a roller coaster shooting rockets at the robot. It's pretty easy to hit, but if you lose your rocket, you'll need to wait for another, and they'll often send bullet bills at you, which may force you to sacrifice your ammo in order to protect yourself. He also spits fire, but since you have a machine that can blast water, I think you know where I'm going with this. The cutscene before this fight also marks the introduction of Bowser Jr., who would go on to become a major character in the series.
Leave my mama alone, you bad man. I won't let you take Mama Peach away.
Yeah, did I tell you this game was special? Super Mario 3D Land! I forgot how good this game was, and how easy it is, but that's besides the point. Who are the bosses in this game again? The Koopalings? Oh yeah. See why I hate these guys now? Who's the other boss again? This is the first of many Bowser battles you'll be seeing on the list, and for good reason. He's the final boss, and last time I checked, you're supposed to end off your game on a high note. Got that battle for Bikini Bottom? Good. For the first half of the fight, you're chasing Bowser, dodging all of his attacks until he reaches the bridge, where you press the switch and he falls to his doom. Or does he? Life lesson number 1, whenever someone asks that question, the answer is no. For the next half, he jumps out of nowhere and pursues you. The tables have turned, and you climb up and up until there's nowhere left to go. Luckily for you, there's another boss in there, so yeah. I just realized, do you know how easy stopping Mario would be? If Bowser just got rid of the switch, you would have won like 8 times. One thing that always bugged me about this fight was that if you died enough times, you get an invincible Tanuki suit, which is just cheap considering it's the final battle. Still a great fight though. And now I need to fix my voice. It's stuck like this forever. Someone help me. You know what I love about Super Mario 3D World most of all? There are bosses other than the Koopalings. Seriously, that alone is enough to put a boss on this list. But Motley Bossblob is great for many other reasons. This dude starts by forming into a huge blob monster and tries to jump on Mario. After enough times, the blobs will split and you'll be able to attack the fleeing gesture as well as jump on the small blob so that the monster will be smaller when it reforms. You also fight him 2 more times later in the game. This time his jumps cause shockwaves, and he's a different color, that always means he's harder. Still, Motley Bossblob is a very engaging and interesting fight, and I can almost forgive Nintendo now for using the Koopalings 5 games in a row. Okay, no I can't, stop. Remember when I said that I thought Super Mario Galaxy 1 was better than the second game? I've changed my mind. While both games have fantastic boss rosters, I prefer Galaxy 2's by quite a bit. Why? Bosses like Gobblegut, of course. I'm going to include both Gobblegut and Fire Gobblegut on this list because they're very similar. Gobblegut is the main boss of the first world in the game, and while he isn't very challenging, he's definitely tougher than King Caliente. In order to beat him, you'll need to whack all 6 of the weak points on his body. After 3 of them are destroyed, he'll get angry and start moving much faster. Fire Gobblegut requires the same strategy, but this time if you touch any other part of his body, you take damage and he moves much faster, making him arguably the hardest boss in the game. The annoying thing about these fights though, is that his huge body will often block your view of Mario, which can be very irritating on Fire Gobblegut. Overall, these bosses are great, and some of the best the series has to offer, but trust me, there will be more Galaxy bosses on this list. Mario & Luigi Dream Team. To be honest, this game was a bit disappointing. It was great overall, but the filler was atrocious, the characters were annoying, and the bosses were somewhat lacking. It's still a great game though, much better than Paper Mario Sticker Star. The only boss in the game that I felt was really cool was the Elite Trio. What makes this fight so great is that you have to beat all 3 of them at once, meaning that for once it's more than attack, dodge, eat mushrooms. Private Goomba, creative name we got there, will attack by summoning and rushing at you with a horde of Goombas. Corporal Paraplunk attacks with a shell, and Sergeant Guy shoots gigantic bullet bills at you, and summons some Goombas dressed as Shy Guys for some reason. I love how this battle uses counterattacks and dodges in really creative ways. For example, you can whack the Koopa shell at the Goomba army in the background, and if you outrun the bullet bill, it'll hit Sergeant Guy instead. Overall, this fight is just really cool and serves as my personal favorite moment in the game. It makes the 45 minutes or so of filler all worth it. When it comes down to it, Super Mario World was actually pretty lacking in the boss department. The Koopalings fights in the game were okay, I guess, but way too easy. Especially compared to the teeth-grindingly frustrating Fortress levels. Reznor was a cool mini-boss, but really nothing spectacular. The final boss, however, is another story. Bowser has 3 stages in this battle. At first, he'll just swoop down at you and throw Mecha Koopas, which you can stomp on and throw right back at him. Then he'll start rolling huge metal balls at you, and lastly, he'll just start bouncing around. The nice thing about this battle is that Princess Peach will pop out and give you a mushroom every time you beat one of his phases. To be honest, going into this fight, I thought it would just be a bland, anticlimactic fight that was only famous because of nostalgia, like the Ultimate Koopa from Mario 64, but I was dead wrong. It's fun, it's satisfying, it's overall just a great way to end Super Mario World. Like the game itself, it's wonderfully simple. And here's yet another, but not the last, boss from the Mario and Luigi series, Commander Shroob. After going through Star Hill, you come across this dude and his minions, and it's battle time. As you'd expect, he mostly attacks in the battle by sending his minions at you, though he will occasionally issue his ray gun. Throughout the battle, he starts sending out huge Shroob bombs, which you'll need to redirect back at him by taking out the 2 Shroobs in the back. This will knock him into the battlefield, leaving him vulnerable. And that's really it. He's weak to ice flowers, I guess, but overall, pretty simple fight. I'm gonna need a joke to end this segment off before I head off into the top 5. I give up. Here's King Arcadian.
I wonder what's for dinner.
I know this isn't saying much, but Yoshi is easily the best addition made in Super Mario Galaxy 2. Not only is he my favorite character, but he's used really well, especially with the power-ups you'll find in your adventure. So what better thing to do than to put him in a boss fight? No, not that one. There we go. Mega Hammer serves as the halfway boss of the game, if you know what I mean. Although he's not very hard, he's creative and a lot of fun. To defeat him, you'll need to get on Yoshi and redirect bullet bills right back at his 3 weak points. Hit each of them twice, and he'll start sending out shockwaves with his hammer attacks, making it harder to not get hit and catch his bullet bills. Overall, Mecha Hammer is my favorite fight in Galaxy 2. It's fun, it's intense, and it overall just feels cinematic, which is pretty much a given in either Galaxy game. Did I tell you that Super Mario Sunshine was special? I did, like 4 times. Well, it is. Out of all the bosses in this game, my favorite is also the most infamous. Phantamanta, like GoldenEye's Aztec Complex, is one of the things that's fun because it's hard, but not in a cheap way. Phantamanta's central gimmick is that as you squirt him more and more, he'll start splitting into smaller and smaller creatures, until you finally be able to destroy them. Or should I say, they? Actually, would it be it? It is one being, as the creatures don't seem to have an independent mind. They're all being controlled by one entity, but would it be they because they are multiple creatures? Whatever, the right thing is also leave behind a trail of electric goop that hurts you on contact. And once you've damaged them enough, they'll start heading for you rather than just going around in random directions. I know a lot of people find this fight really annoying, and I can definitely see where you're coming from, but I find it a ton of fun, and it's almost never cheap. Again, to compare it to the Aztec Complex, it's brutal, but in an invigorating kind of way. As opposed to something like the Ultimate Koopa, which is just freaking annoying. Out of all the 3D Mario games, there's only one boss who can safely say is the best. It meets all the criteria. It's fun, it's not cheap or pathetically easy, it's climactic, and it's overall just made really well. And that boss is Big Baba. Who wrote this? Is this some kind of a joke? Whoever you are, you're fired. Get out of here. I don't want to see your face ever again. But yeah, I wrote this. It's Bowser, kiddos. Now, last time I ranked my favorite bosses, I put the battle from Galaxy 2 at 2nd place. I honestly have no idea what I was thinking. That boss wasn't horrible, it was just insultingly easy, mostly the final phase. The final boss of Galaxy 1 hour is a whole nother story. This battle with Bowser contains 3 phases. In the first phase, he sends out shockwaves that you have to dodge, and then turns into, I'm sorry, but this looks freaking stupid. You'll have to hit him right in the face and whack him again as he's rolling around. Do this twice, and the second phase will begin. This time you'll need to hit him with the stressy plane scattered around the planet. Do this twice, and the final phase will commence. As will the awesome music. This time you'll need to trick him into ground pounding onto the star energy, just like the previous battles with him. However, this time he'll roll around in a spiked ball, and send out a swarm of fireballs at you, and use shockwaves. Whack him a bunch of times and you've beaten the game. You'll have to fight him twice in order to unlock Luigi, the second time after you collected all 120 stars. Hopefully your game won't freeze like mine did during the ending cinematic. Yep, try to avoid that. Mario and Luigi Bowser Inside Story is kind of weird for me. On one hand, you've got the awesome Bowser levels, new ideas that really make it stand out, the brilliant cast of characters, and the amazing combat system. On the other hand, you've got Starlo, so it all just about evens out. Easily the most memorable thing about this game for me, though, are the boss battles. From Blizzard Midbis, who I put on my list last time and almost made on this version, to Bowser Memory MNL, it's hard to find one that's truly bad. The best of the bunch, though, in my opinion, is Alpha Kretin and Beta Kretin. Yes, they're both one boss. The key to this fight is that some of the Kretins are red and some are green. The red ones can only be damaged by Mario and the green ones only by Luigi. Once one loses enough health, it turns blue. Once all are defeated, they separate and a new phase begins. All but one of the Kretins are fakes. In each turn, the real one will switch around in order to confuse the player. Alpha Kretin attacks by shooting balls of energy and can duplicate itself into 5 copies, again to confuse the player. The Beta Kretins attack with this weird electric link thingy, which can actually be pretty tough to dodge. Jeez, I need to replay this game.
Gee, look! It's from Bowser! Dear pesky plumbers, the Koopalings and I have taken over the Mushroom Kingdom. The princess is now a permanent guest at one of my 7 Koopa hotels. I dare you to find her if you can. We gotta find the princess. And you gotta help us.
I think I've said this before many times. Many times. Many times. Many. Okay, fine. But the 2D Mario games aren't exactly famous for their bosses. Other than the final battles in Monty Tank, they're all just bland and boring. Actually, New Super Mario Bros. Wii had it pretty good. Sure, I hate the Koopalings, but it was the first time they'd been seen in 17 years, so they weren't irritating at this point. However, none of these bosses compare to the final boss of the game, Bowser. The final boss of New Super Mario Bros. DS was okay, but it wasn't really a fitting way to end the game, and it looked like New Super Mario Bros. Wii was going to have the same problem. That is, until Kamek turns him into Giant Bowser, and you'll have to run for your life. In order to beat him, you'll have to make it to the end of the side-scrolling stage before he catches up to you. He attacks by shooting fireballs, which will also break parts of the wall, allowing you to go further. There are other obstacles, like lava, bottomless pits, and the Goomba. Okay. They're pretty generous with the items they give you, so the fight isn't that hard, but you can skip the propeller in case you want a bigger challenge, because that thing makes it easier. Also, don't do the stage on multiplayer, unless you trust your friend not to throw you in the lava. Basically, you keep running away until you reach the end. Gee, I wonder what you need to do here. Oh. Then Bowser falls into like his 27th consecutive pit, and you beat the game. Also, Mario ditches Luigi. I'm a guardian antisocial personality disorder.